In the bustling world we live in, there comes a moment so subtle, so quiet, that it may pass us by unnoticed unless we truly stop and listen. It is not the kind of exhaustion that comes from a late night or long hours of work. No, this is something deeper, something that resonates at the very core of who we are. It's the kind of tiredness that slowly creeps into our lives over time, undetected until one day it weighs heavily on our hearts and minds. This weariness, this subtle exhaustion, isn't about the physical body needing rest, though our bodies may indeed crave sleep. It is the weariness of the soul, the weariness of our being. It is the quiet fatigue that comes from focusing on the needs of others, from giving endlessly, from trying to maintain peace and harmony, all the while forgetting to nourish our own spirit. In Buddhism, we are often reminded that suffering doesn't only arise from physical pain or external hardships. It also arises when we neglect the present moment, when we forget to honor who we are in the quest to please others, to meet expectations, or to create harmony at the expense of our own well-being. The Buddha teaches us that true suffering begins when we lose ourselves, when we let go of our true essence in the pursuit of external ideals. How many times have we felt this way, giving so much of ourselves to others, but forgetting to pause, to rest, and to return to our own center? But today, my friends, we are called to remember. We are invited gently to listen to the soft call of our own spirit. This is not the kind of call that shakes us awake with loud noises or sudden urgency. It is a quiet whisper, like a breeze that brushes against our skin, almost imperceptible unless we are still enough to feel it. It is the Dharma speaking to us, inviting us to reconnect with our true selves, to awaken from the dream of endless doing, and to return to the simplicity of being. This moment right now is an opportunity, a moment to reflect, to pause, and to let go of the noise of the world around us. We don't need to force ourselves into any action. We don't need to strive to achieve something new or to change ourselves completely. What we need instead is to rest in the present, to listen deeply, and to honor the quiet call within. This is the essence of awakening, a gentle remembering of who we are, beneath the layers of stress, distractions, and expectations. So often we are caught in the whirlwind of life, constantly moving, constantly reacting, constantly pushing ourselves further. But what if true peace doesn't come from adding more to our lives? What if it comes from simply returning to the present moment, from rediscovering the stillness within? The Buddha's teachings guide us back to this understanding. They remind us that our true nature is already here, within us, waiting to be rediscovered. There is no need to chase after peace, no need to struggle for enlightenment. It is already within us. We simply need to stop, to be still, and to listen to the wisdom that lies in silence. The quiet call to awakening is not a call for grand gestures or dramatic transformations. It is a call for a return to the present moment, to our true nature, to the essence of who we really are. This gentle call asks us to let go of the burdens we've been carrying, burdens of guilt, of fear, of expectations. It asks us to release the noise in our minds, to silence the voices that tell us we are not enough, that we need to do more, be more. The truth is, we are enough as we are. The awakening begins when we recognize that truth and return to it. We live in a world that often tells us we must be constantly productive, constantly striving, constantly achieving. But the Buddha teaches us that true peace comes not from striving, but from being fully present in each moment, being aware of our thoughts, our feelings, and our surroundings, without judgment or attachment. This is the path to true freedom. The freedom that comes from reconnecting with the present moment, from letting go of the need to control or to be anything other than what we are in this very moment. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not just a practice, it is a way of life. It is about being present with ourselves and the world around us, without distraction, without judgment. It is about embracing each moment as it is, without the need to change it or fix it. The quiet call to awakening invites us to engage with life in this way, to be fully present with ourselves, to listen to our hearts, to honor our own needs, and to rest in the truth of our own being. So let us take a moment together to pause, to stop the endless striving, to let go of the tension we carry in our bodies and minds, and to simply be. Let us close our eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and allow ourselves to feel the stillness within. In this moment, there is nothing we need to do. We are already whole, already complete. We only need to awaken to the truth that has always been with us. This is not a loud awakening. It is a quiet one, a soft, gentle return to the present moment. And in this return, we find peace, we find clarity, and we find ourselves. This is the beginning of our journey back to the center of our being, the journey to reconnect with our true essence. The quiet call to awakening is the call to return to the simplicity of being, to rest in the present, and to remember who we truly are. As we move forward in our lives, let us remember that the quiet call to awakening is always here, always waiting for us to listen. It is a call that invites us to be gentle with ourselves, to honor our own spirit, and to reconnect with the peace that resides within us all. In this gentle awakening, we find not only peace, but a deep sense of connection with the world around us and with each other. This is the true path of awakening, a path that does not demand anything from us, but instead invites us to return to the truth that is already within. And as we walk this path, we can walk with greater ease, with greater joy, and with a deeper understanding of who we are. My dear friends, as we walk through this life, it is easy to become entangled in the relentless pursuit of what's next. We chase after dreams, ambitions, and the approval of others, thinking that peace will come when we achieve, accomplish, or acquire more. But as we journey deeper into the heart of existence, we come to realize that the true essence of life does not lie in the accumulation of things or the ticking off of endless to-do lists. The true peace we seek, the peace that nourishes our soul, doesn't come from achieving more. It comes from being more. In our fast-paced world, we often forget that the greatest power we hold is the ability to be present, right here, right now. The Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, shared with Rome a simple but profound teaching. Peace does not arise from external circumstances, nor does it come from the illusion of doing. Peace arises when we fully embrace the present moment and allow ourselves to be present in the fullness of who we are. But what does it mean to truly be present? It is not simply about being physically in one place. It's about being mentally, emotionally, and spiritually engaged with what is in front of us. In this space of presence, we connect with the very core of our being. We listen to our thoughts, we acknowledge our emotions, and we stand firm within the boundaries of our own truth. Too often we mistake silence for peace. We might believe that peace is the absence of noise, that it is something to be attained by shutting out the world around us. And in many cases, we choose silence because we have been conditioned to suppress our emotions, thoughts, and feelings in order to avoid conflict or discomfort. But here's a key realization. Silence that comes from suppression is not peace. It is not peace when we silence ourselves out of fear or shame. It is merely a quiet denial of who we truly are. True peace comes from a place of acceptance. It comes when we are able to sit with our feelings without judgment, allowing them to come and go like waves in the ocean. When we look deeper into this idea, we come to understand that true peace is not a passive state, nor is it a static, unchanging condition. Rather, it is an active, ongoing process of embracing each moment as it comes. Peace is the clarity we find when we stop running from our emotions and thoughts, and instead listen to them. When we accept them as part of who we are, we invite peace into our lives. And peace, my friends, is not something we need to search for endlessly. It is already present within us. It is just waiting for us to remember it, waiting for us to return to our own center. The Buddha spoke of mindfulness as a path to enlightenment. He taught us that mindfulness is not just about quieting the mind. It's about tuning into the present moment with full awareness and acceptance. To be mindful is to be present with ourselves and the world around us, without distraction, without judgment. In the same way, to practice mindfulness is to embrace everything that comes our way. Whether it is joy or sorrow, success or failure, we face it all with equanimity, understanding that each moment is part of the unfolding journey. But in our modern lives, filled with distractions and constant busyness, we often forget the importance of being present. How often do we find ourselves thinking about the past or worrying about the future while missing out on the beauty of the now? We rush through life trying to keep up with the pace of the world, but in doing so, we miss the very essence of life itself. The simple act of being present in the moment, becomes an act of rebellion against the noise of the world. It is a call to return to ourselves, to stop, breathe, and listen deeply. Let us take a moment now to reflect on the nature of presence. What does it mean to be truly present in your life? Are you able to embrace the fullness of each moment? Or do you often find yourself distracted, lost in thought, or consumed by worry? I invite you to consider this. True peace does not require us to change the world around us. It requires us to change our relationship with the world. When we learn to be present, when we learn to truly listen to our own hearts, we begin to see the world with new eyes. We realize that the answers to our deepest questions are not found in the external world, but within us. The power of presence also lies in its simplicity. It is not a complicated practice, nor does it require special techniques or rituals. Being present is simply about bringing your full attention to what is happening right now. It means being aware of your breath, of the sensations in your body, of the thoughts that arise in your mind without trying to change them. It means accepting yourself fully in this moment, without judgment, without fear. As we walk along the path of life, we encounter many challenges. These challenges may come in the form of personal struggles, external pressures, or the inevitable ups and downs of life. But when we learn to be present with these challenges, we gain the wisdom to navigate them with grace. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from the events themselves, but from our attachment to them. When we are attached to outcomes, to expectations, to ideas of how things should be, we create suffering. But when we let go of this attachment and embrace the present moment with open hands, we find freedom. We discover that we are not bound by the past or the future, but are free to experience life in its fullness, in its beauty, as it is. Let us remember that peace is not an abstract concept. It is a living, breathing reality that exists within us, waiting to be awakened. The Buddhist teachings are not about escaping from the world, but about finding peace within it. We don't need to seek peace in far-off places or distant experiences. We can find it right here, right now, by simply being present with ourselves. Every breath we take, every thought we have, is an opportunity to reconnect with our true nature. It is in these moments of presence that we find clarity, wisdom, and a deep sense of peace that transcends all the noise of the world. In the quiet corners of our lives where the dust of everyday life settles, there's a deep, often unnoticed pattern that many of us have fallen into, a pattern that stems from an unspoken desire to keep the peace. Perhaps, like me, you've spent years saying yes when your heart longed for a no, or smiling through the discomfort, pretending everything is all right when inside you are torn. We live in a world where we are taught from a very young age to be agreeable, to avoid confrontation, and to please others. It becomes second nature, a kind of armor we wear to shield ourselves from the pain of conflict and disagreement. But as we keep the peace for others, what are we sacrificing within ourselves? The Buddha in his teachings spoke extensively about the importance of setting healthy boundaries, not just for our own well-being, but for the well-being of those around us. He taught us that in order to live a compassionate life, we must first protect and care for ourselves. And this includes recognizing when we are being pushed beyond our limits. Compassion in the Buddhist sense is not about endlessly enduring suffering without ever expressing our needs. It is not about shrinking into silence, agreeing to everything, or giving up our inner peace just to avoid discomfort. True compassion, as the Buddha explained, is the act of balancing love for others with love for oneself. It's about knowing when to say no, when to walk away, and when to stand firm in our truth, even when it may not be easy. This is where the misunderstanding often lies. We confuse endurance with wisdom. We think that by silently enduring we are being kind, we are being loving, we are being good people. But the truth is, endurance, when pushed too far, can become a burden, a silent, slow erosion of our spirit. The Buddha warned that when we allow ourselves to be walked on, When we ignore our own needs for the sake of others, we are not practicing true compassion. We are, in fact, teaching others that their needs are more important than our own. We teach them that our voices do not matter, that our feelings do not deserve to be expressed, and that our boundaries are flexible, to be crossed whenever it suits them. In doing so, we dishonor not only ourselves but also those we are trying to help. It is said that true compassion arises from understanding the interconnectedness of all beings. The more we care for ourselves with awareness and wisdom, the better we can care for others. When we forget ourselves, we begin to resent the very people we are trying to serve. This resentment then leads to bitterness, exhaustion, and emotional burnout. It clouds our judgment and makes us less effective in our compassion. The Buddhist teachings remind us that by honoring our own needs, by setting clear and loving boundaries, we become better equipped to help others. We are not meant to disappear into the background, to fade away for the sake of peace. Instead, we are called to stand in our power, in our truth, while extending the same compassion and care to others. But how do we recognize when we have crossed that line, when our endurance has become a form of self-neglect? It's not always easy to spot, especially when we are so conditioned to please others, to avoid conflict, and to keep the peace. But the Buddhist path offers us a way, a path of mindfulness and self-awareness. We can learn to pause, to breathe, and to listen to our inner voice. In those quiet moments when we feel the weight of unspoken words and unexpressed feelings, we can ask ourselves, am I betraying my own heart in the name of peace? Is my desire to avoid conflict causing me to lose touch with my truth? Are my boundaries clear, or have they become blurred in the name of love and kindness? In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness helps us become aware of these subtle shifts. It trains us to notice when we are sacrificing ourselves for others, when we are overgiving without receiving. Mindfulness allows us to see the truth beneath the surface, to understand our own emotional needs, and to communicate those needs clearly and compassionately. This is not selfishness. It is self-care, which is the foundation of true compassion. Without it, our kindness becomes hollow, a mere performance to appease others rather than a genuine expression of love and care. So let us reflect together. Are we mistaking endurance for wisdom? Are we allowing our desire to keep the peace to silence the truth of our hearts? The Buddha taught us that the path of liberation is not found through the constant suppression of our needs and desires. It is found through the expression of our truth, the honoring of our boundaries, and the recognition that we are worthy of the same love and respect that we extend to others. It's time to reclaim our dignity, to stand tall in our own light, and to speak up when it matters most. True peace does not come from silencing ourselves. It comes from living in harmony with our own heart and soul. The Buddhist teachings remind us that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of inner strength, the strength to stand firm in our truth, the strength to set boundaries, and the strength to say no when necessary. This is not a journey of self-assertion at the expense of others, but a journey of self-awareness and balance. As we walk the path of Buddhism, let us remember that our peace begins within. It is not something we seek from others, nor something we gain by sacrificing our own well-being. Peace is found in the clarity of our own mind, in the courage to be authentic, and in the wisdom to know when to speak and when to remain silent. The Buddhist teachings offer us the guidance to navigate this delicate balance, to be both loving and strong, both compassionate and firm. So today, let us take a moment to pause, to reflect on our own boundaries, and to ask ourselves, are we truly living in alignment with our truth? Are we honoring our own needs as much as we honor the needs of others? If not, let us begin now. Let us begin the practice of setting clearer boundaries with love and compassion so that we may walk this path of peace, not as people who endure in silence, but as people who live fully, authentically, and with grace. In the vast journey of life, there is one undeniable truth that we must come to terms with. Our emotions are not obstacles to be avoided. Rather, they are sacred visitors, each one carrying a unique message, a wisdom waiting to be heard. And yet, in our fast-paced world, we often view emotions as something to be managed, hidden, or even suppressed. We are conditioned to think that joy is a fleeting gift, sadness is a sign of weakness, and anger is something to be feared or avoided. But in the Buddhist teachings, emotions are seen differently. The Buddha, with his profound insight into the nature of the human experience, understood that emotions are not to be feared. Instead, they are to be welcomed as guides. Every emotion, whether greed, sorrow, or anger, arises for a reason. They are not random, nor are they enemies of our peace. Emotions, when viewed through the lens of mindfulness, are like a map, showing us where we need healing, where we need growth, and where we need to pay attention in our lives. Too often, we ignore these emotions. We push them down, brush them aside, or try to escape them in various ways, through distraction, busyness, or by numbing ourselves with unhealthy habits. But when we do this, we miss the opportunity to listen to what our emotions are telling us. We lose the chance to learn from them, to uncover the wisdom they hold. This is where the practice of mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness, as taught by the Buddha, is the art of being present with whatever arises in our minds and hearts, without judgment and without attachment. When we apply mindfulness to our emotions, we stop treating them as problems to fix. Instead, we view them as part of our human experience that deserves our attention and respect. Whether it's the bubbling excitement of joy, the deep heaviness of sadness, or the fiery surge of anger, mindfulness invites us to sit with these feelings, to feel them fully without the urge to act on them impulsively or deny them. The challenge we face in this modern world is the tendency to either bottle up our emotions or let them dictate our actions. When we bottle up our emotions, we risk carrying them like a heavy burden that weighs down our spirit. Over time, this can lead to burnout, frustration, and a sense of disconnection from our true selves. On the other hand, when we allow our emotions to run wild without mindfulness, we may react in ways that cause harm to ourselves or others. We may lash out in anger, retreat into despair, or act recklessly out of a sense of emotional overwhelm. True emotional intelligence, according to the Buddha, is not about controlling our emotions, but about learning to be present with them in a balanced way. It is the ability to honor our feelings, to listen to them, and then decide how we wish to respond. By practicing mindfulness, we can create a space between our emotions and our actions, a moment of pause where we can choose how to respond with wisdom and compassion, rather than with impulsivity or fear. Let us reflect for a moment. How often do we allow ourselves to truly feel? How often do we let ourselves sit with our emotions without judgment or shame? The Buddha's teachings remind us that our emotions are a part of our shared humanity. They are not a flaw or weakness, but a deep, inherent part of being alive. Emotions like sadness teach us about impermanence, reminding us that nothing in life lasts forever. Joy, on the other hand, connects us to the beauty and goodness of the present moment, urging us to appreciate the gift of life as it is. And anger, when examined with mindfulness, can show us where we feel violated, where we need boundaries, and where we need to cultivate more patience or understanding. When we suppress our emotions, we are essentially cutting ourselves off from the wisdom they offer. We are disconnecting from the deepest parts of our being, the parts that need our attention the most. However, when we honor our emotions, we open the door to healing and growth. Every emotion we feel is an opportunity to connect with ourselves on a deeper level, to understand our fears, desires, and longings, and to bring awareness to areas of our lives that need attention. In our fast-paced society, it can be challenging to slow down and simply be with our emotions. We are constantly bombarded by distractions, pressures, and expectations. But the Buddhist teachings offer us a path, a gentle, compassionate path that asks us to step back from the noise and to create space for stillness. It is in this space, the sacred space of mindfulness, that we can truly listen to our emotions, honor their presence, and allow them to guide us. So, in this moment, let us pause. Let us take a deep breath and connect with our emotions. Let us observe them without fear or judgment. Are we carrying unresolved grief? Are we holding on to anger that needs to be released? Are we celebrating moments of joy that we haven't fully acknowledged? Let us sit with these emotions, breathe into them, and simply be present with them. Mindfulness is not about forcing our emotions to change or disappear. It is about allowing them to exist without the need to control them. By doing this, we discover a deeper wisdom within ourselves, a wisdom that leads to inner peace, emotional resilience, and a greater understanding of who we are. So as we move through our lives, let us make room for our emotions. Let us honor them as sacred visitors, and in doing so, reconnect with the deeper wisdom that resides within us all. Remember, emotions are not something to fear. They are not obstacles to our peace. They are the gentle whispers of our soul, guiding us back to the present moment, to the truth of who we are. By embracing our emotions with mindfulness and compassion, we step onto the path of true emotional freedom, where we can experience life in its fullest, most vibrant form. My friends, today I invite you to reflect deeply upon a concept that resonates through the heart of Buddhism: the reclamation of your voice. Many of us, especially those who have been taught to stay silent or shrink in the presence of others, may find this journey daunting. But the Buddha's teachings offer us wisdom and guidance, reminding us that suffering arises not only from pain, but from attachment. Attachment to roles, identities, and expectations that others impose upon us. If we are not careful, we risk losing ourselves in the stories that others have written for us, forgetting the sacred truth that lies within. The act of reclaiming your voice is not merely about speaking words. It is about speaking your truth. It is about stepping into the fullness of who you are without fear of rejection or judgment. It's about recognizing that you are not meant to be silenced, not by the expectations of society, not by the voices of others, and certainly not by your own doubts. Your voice is sacred. Your presence in this world matters. For the Buddha teaches us that true freedom comes when we allow ourselves to speak from the deepest place within, when we no longer suppress what we feel, think, or believe. In Buddhism, there is a concept of liberation, a liberation from attachments that bind us. These attachments can manifest as the roles we are forced into, the identities others impose upon us, or even the expectations that we place upon ourselves. This is where we begin to understand the profound lesson. The path to awakening is not about becoming someone else, but about returning to our truest self, the one that has always existed within. It is not about seeking approval or permission from anyone else. It is about allowing ourselves to be seen for who we truly are. The journey of reclaiming your voice may feel intimidating at first, especially for those who have been taught to be passive or to yield to the opinions and desires of others. The path may seem difficult, even isolating at times. But remember, this is not a path of self-assertion born of ego or pride. It is a path of truth. It is about discovering and honoring the deepest, most authentic part of you. In Buddhism, we learn that it is only through letting go of the attachments to false identities that we can truly find liberation. And at the heart of this liberation is the ability to speak your truth without fear, without hesitation. So I ask you today, are you living in alignment with your truth? Are you allowing yourself to speak from the core of your being without concern for the judgment of others? Are you allowing yourself to be fully seen, heard, and acknowledged? Or have you found yourself shrinking, retreating into silence, suppressing your voice to fit the mold that others have crafted for you? In our world, there are countless pressures that try to keep us silent. Pressures to conform, to belong, to fit into predefined boxes. But when we do this, when we suppress our true voice, we cut ourselves off from the very essence of who we are. The Buddha's teachings encourage us to find the courage to express our truth, to reclaim the voice that may have been quieted by the expectations and pressures of life. This is the path of true awakening, to embrace the authenticity of our voice, to step into the fullness of who we are with confidence and grace. As we reclaim our voice, we also reclaim our power. We are reminded that we do not need to apologize for who we are or what we believe. In fact, when we speak from a place of truth, we create ripples that inspire others to do the same. Our voice becomes not just a means of self-expression, but a beacon of hope, strength, and clarity for those around us. When we allow ourselves to speak our truth, we give permission for others to do the same. We create spaces where authenticity can flourish, where each person is free to be who they truly are, without fear of rejection or judgment. In Buddhism, there is a deep understanding that all suffering arises from attachments, and the attachment to the stories others have written for us, whether it be the story of who we should be, what we should say, or how we should behave, can be a significant source of our suffering. We begin to lose touch with who we truly are. We forget that we are not bound by the expectations of others, and we lose sight of the wisdom and peace that reside within us. But the path of awakening invites us to release these attachments and return to the truth of our own hearts. I urge you today to take a moment and listen, to listen to the quiet voice within you that is yearning to be heard. This voice is not a loud command. It is a gentle but firm whisper that calls you back to your true self. The Buddhist teachings remind us that we do not need to search for ourselves in the noise of the world. The truth of who we are is already within us, waiting to be recognized and expressed. Our voice, when reclaimed, is the manifestation of that truth. It is the sound of our deepest wisdom, our highest calling. The act of reclaiming your voice is an invitation to step into the fullness of your being. It is an invitation to show up in the world as your authentic self, without the need to hide or shrink. It is a call to awaken to the truth that you are worthy of being seen and heard. Your voice is not just for you, it is for the world. It carries the power to heal, to inspire, and to create positive change. So I invite you to take a deep breath and reflect on this. Are you ready to reclaim your voice? Are you ready to step into the power that resides within you? To express your truth without fear or hesitation? The path of awakening's waiting for you. It is not a distant goal, but a present reality, accessible in every moment. All it takes is the courage to speak from your heart, to trust in your inner wisdom, and to let go of the attachments that have kept you quiet for too long.